faith gives us an opportunity to look at the Second Vatican Council, because in these years, 2012 to 2015, we're celebrating, in fact, the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council. It was a key event for the Catholic Church. It remains a key event. All the popes of recent popes have said it's like a compass for how we are to go forward. Among the very first documents published on the 4th of December 1963, we find the document on liturgy, Sacrosanctum Concilium, and the document on the modern means of communication, Inter Mirifica. These are two wonderful documents on key elements of the Church's life and mission. Sacrosanctum Concilium is the document of the Second Vatican Council dedicated to liturgy. Liturgy is a technical word. It means service, but in the broad sense it means how we worship God publicly. For us, most of us, it means directly the Mass that we go to, but also the sacraments. But liturgy, of course, also means how we live our life in the service of God. The document is the first document of the Second Vatican Council to be published, and in that sense it perhaps tells us something very important. The Council was above all about God and how we live in relationship with God. Therefore, it had to do with our whole life. And the Second Vatican Council wanted to do, as it were, an updating in the vigour with which we approach our Christian life, so that we could be more open to this service of the world and also to unity with Christians. So one of the first topics it took was the topic of liturgy. There's loads we could say, because it's a big document, wonderful document. You can always go back to it and read it again. There's so much in it, and it's always available online. But let's just take two or three major points. The first point it made was this: when we are celebrating liturgy, the Mass, the sacraments, let's remember what we're getting in touch with. We're getting in touch with the event of Jesus' death and resurrection. We call that the Paschal mystery. Paschal from the word Passover. In the Old Testament, you know, the angel passed over and the people were brought into life, the new life. In the Mass, we celebrate our passing over from death to the new life of the resurrection. At every Mass, we are recreated as a people, the Church, that has Jesus Christ at the heart of our life, giving us new life. That's what we celebrate at every Mass, at every celebration, at every sacrament. So that's the first thing that this document wanted to bring out: rediscover what it is we're celebrating. The second thing they brought out was this: Jesus Christ is actively present every time we gather together for a moment of liturgy. He is present, for instance, in the Mass. How? In the priest, in the Word of God, in the Eucharist, and in the community itself. Jesus is active. Jesus is present. This is something that the Second Vatican Council wanted to bring out. It's not just that we're there doing something, doing an act of worship. We are gathering around Jesus, who is present among us and is actively speaking to us. The third thing that the Vatican Council document on liturgy brought out: we are required to, or invited to, have what's called full, active, conscious participation in the liturgy. In other words, we're not just observing something like you go to a bit of a theatre or you'd go to a film and you'd watch it. No, we're involved. We're active participants. In that sense, I think the liturgy document wants to bring out, as it were, two sides in every liturgy. The liturgy is a gift. We don't make it. It comes to us from God. The sacraments, the Mass, comes as a gift to us. But it is also a task. We are called to actively respond in faith, hearing the words, participating in the Mass, bringing our life, our world around us, our neighbours, the world's problems into the Mass. We offer them to God. We understand what's going on and we respond, we sing, we greet our neighbours. We're part of an active community. It's one of the big things that the Second Vatican Council wanted to relaunch: the liturgy as something that we're actively involved in. And we do that, as I say, not just through the external, the readers, Eucharistic ministers, but all of us are actively involved in it, primarily through our faith response, but also through our direct liturgical response.